Aquarius often grows up with a strange, silent belief. A belief that forms not from words, but from looks, from pauses, from rooms that suddenly feel colder when they speak their truth. They believe they are disliked, not openly hated, not attacked, just quietly excluded. They notice it early. They don't blend in. They don't get instant warmth. They don't receive easy validation. And so, many Aquarians start asking themselves, why do people feel distant from me? Why do I always feel like the outsider? Why does it seem like people tolerate me, but never fully embrace me? But here is the paradox no one tells Aquarius. What you interpret as rejection is often respect that doesn't know how to approach you. What feels like emotional distance is often admiration without a script. And what you mistake for being disliked is actually something far rarer, being taken seriously. Aquarius is not a sign that is instantly loved. Aquarius is a sign that is slowly, quietly, deeply valued. And today, we're uncovering the 15 reasons why. Reason 1. Aquarius doesn't try to be liked. Aquarius walks into a room without performing. No emotional sales pitch. No subtle people-pleasing. No calculated charm. They don't adjust their personality to fit the room. They don't soften their opinions to be accepted. They don't decorate their truth. To many people, this feels uncomfortable, because most humans are trained to exchange likability for safety. Aquarius refuses that trade. And when someone doesn't try to win approval, others often assume arrogance. But underneath that assumption is something else entirely. Respect. People may not always feel emotionally close to Aquarius, but they instinctively sense something solid. Someone who doesn't bend easily. Someone who doesn't fake agreement. Someone who doesn't need validation to exist. And even when they don't say it, they trust Aquarius more than they trust those who smile too easily. Reason 2. Aquarius refuses to offer fake comfort. When someone is upset, Aquarius doesn't rush in with rehearsed sympathy. They don't say what sounds nice. They don't mirror emotions just to blend in. They don't offer empty reassurance. Instead, Aquarius pauses. They listen. They analyze. They wait for clarity before responding. To emotional signs, this can feel cold, like distance, like a lack of care. But Aquarius understands something deeply. False comfort helps no one. They won't soothe your pain just to avoid discomfort. They won't lie to protect your illusion. They won't tell you everything will be okay if it won't. And while this honesty may sting in the moment, people later realize something important. Aquarius didn't abandon them. Aquarius respected them enough to be real. That kind of integrity is rarely loved loudly, but it is remembered forever. Reason 3. Aquarius speaks the truth too early. Aquarius sees patterns before others do. They recognize emotional undercurrents. They detect future consequences. They notice cracks in systems long before collapse. And then they speak. Not when it's comfortable, not when it's popular, but when it's accurate. This timing creates friction. People don't like hearing truths they're not ready to face. So they label Aquarius as negative, or insensitive, or detached. But time always reveals something powerful. Aquarius was right. And while people may never apologize, they quietly adjust their respect. They stop dismissing Aquarius. They start listening more closely. They realize that discomfort wasn't cruelty. It was foresight. Reason 4. Aquarius doesn't participate in drama. Aquarius doesn't feed emotional chaos. They don't gossip to bond. They don't take sides to feel included. They don't weaponize secrets. And in a world where emotional alliances are currency, this neutrality can feel threatening. People don't know where they stand with Aquarius. They can't predict reactions. They can't manipulate emotions. So they assume distance. They assume judgment. They assume rejection. But beneath that uncertainty lies something rare. Safety. Aquarius is the one person who won't betray you for approval. The one who won't distort your story. The one who remains neutral even when chaos demands allegiance. People may not feel emotionally close, but they feel protected. Reason 5. Aquarius doesn't need recognition. Aquarius rarely announces their contributions. They don't highlight their sacrifices. They don't seek applause. They don't remind people what they've done. They move quietly. They help strategically. They disappear once the outcome is secured. To outsiders, this looks like indifference, like disengagement, like lack of ambition. But those paying attention understand. Aquarius operates from purpose, not praise. And while louder personalities receive public validation, Aquarius earns something more subtle. A reputation. People remember who solved problems without ego, who stepped in without credit, who left systems better than they found them. Aquarius may not be celebrated loudly, but they are trusted deeply. Reason 6. Aquarius is different without trying. Aquarius doesn't try to stand out. They don't manufacture uniqueness. They don't chase originality. They simply exist. And that existence is different. Their thoughts don't follow familiar patterns. Their emotional responses defy expectations. Their values resist social conditioning. This makes people curious and cautious. Humans are wired to fear what they can't categorize. So they label Aquarius as distant, or strange, or hard to connect with. But over time, that difference becomes magnetic. Because Aquarius represents something most people secretly crave: freedom from conformity. Even when people don't understand Aquarius, they admire the courage it takes to remain authentic. Reason 7. Aquarius is emotionally hard to read. Aquarius doesn't display emotions theatrically. They don't react loudly. They don't dramatize feelings. They don't wear their heart on their sleeve. This emotional privacy confuses people. They can't tell if Aquarius likes them, or judges them, or cares at all, so they assume the worst. But emotional restraint is not emotional absence. Aquarius feels deeply. They simply don't leak it everywhere. They process internally. They protect their emotional space. They reveal selectively. And while this may create distance, it also creates intrigue. People are drawn to what they cannot decode. And Aquarius remains one of the most quietly compelling energies in the zodiac. Reason 8. Aquarius respects boundaries more than most. Aquarius doesn't invade emotional space. They don't pry. They don't demand closeness. They don't force intimacy. They allow people to be exactly where they are. And strangely, this often gets misinterpreted. People are so used to emotional pressure, constant messaging, constant checking, constant reassurance, that when Aquarius doesn't do that, it feels like disinterest. But Aquarius understands something deeply. True respect means allowing autonomy. They don't confuse closeness with control. They don't equate love with possession. They don't measure connection by constant access. And while this makes them feel distant at first, it creates a rare emotional safety. People may not feel smothered by Aquarius, but they feel free around them. And freedom is one of the most underrated forms of affection. Reason 9. Aquarius doesn't compete for the spotlight. Aquarius rarely fights to be seen. They don't dominate conversations. They don't interrupt to prove intelligence. They don't chase attention. They observe. They wait. They speak only when it matters. To louder personalities, this can look like passivity, like disengagement, like lack of confidence. But when Aquarius finally speaks, rooms shift, because their words are not noise. They're conclusions. People start to notice something. When Aquarius talks, things make sense. When Aquarius contributes, progress happens. They may not shine constantly, but when they do, it's unforgettable, and that earns quiet respect. Reason 10. Aquarius sees people clearly and doesn't exploit it. Aquarius understands people. They notice insecurities. They recognize motivations. They sense emotional patterns instantly, but they don't expose them. They don't weaponize insight. They don't use knowledge for dominance. This restraint unsettles people, because most who see deeply also manipulate. Aquarius doesn't. So people feel strangely exposed, yet safe. They don't know how much Aquarius sees. They only know they aren't being judged or used. And that combination creates something powerful. Trust mixed with awe. Reason 11. Aquarius doesn't react emotionally. They respond consciously. Aquarius doesn't explode. They don't implode. They don't spiral publicly. They pause. They think. They choose their response. To emotional personalities, this feels cold, like lack of passion, like detachment. But Aquarius isn't disconnected. They're disciplined. They refuse to be ruled by impulse. They refuse to let emotion override integrity. They refuse to damage relationships just to release feelings. And while this restraint may be misunderstood, people eventually recognize something rare: emotional maturity. Reason 12. Aquarius lives by personal ideals, not social approval. Aquarius follows an internal compass, not trends, not traditions, not collective opinion. They question systems. They challenge norms. They refuse inherited beliefs. This makes others uncomfortable, because Aquarius doesn't validate the rules. They rewrite them. And while this independence can feel isolating, it also inspires something unspoken: envy. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that wonders. How are they so free? Reason 13. Aquarius doesn't fear being misunderstood. Aquarius doesn't over-explain themselves. They don't beg to be seen. They don't chase clarification. They don't fight misinterpretation. They know who they are. And this calm confidence unsettles people. Because most humans exhaust themselves trying to control perception. Aquarius lets misunderstanding exist. And paradoxically, this makes their presence heavier, more grounded, more respectable. They don't need consensus to be valid. Reason 14. Aquarius thinks collectively, not personally. Aquarius sees systems, not just individuals. They sacrifice personal comfort for collective improvement. They prioritize long-term outcomes over short-term gain. They think in decades, not moments. But they don't announce it. They don't martyr themselves. They don't demand gratitude. And because of that, their contributions often go unnoticed. Until they're gone. Then people realize Aquarius was holding things together quietly. Reason 15. Aquarius doesn't need many people, only the right ones. Aquarius doesn't cling. They let relationships end naturally. They release what no longer aligns. They don't fear solitude. This gets misread as coldness, as detachment, as emotional distance. But Aquarius understands something fundamental. Connection loses meaning when forced. They prefer depth over quantity, truth over attachment, alignment over comfort. And while they may walk alone, they are never forgotten. Mini-climax. The truth about Aquarius. Aquarius is not disliked. They are misinterpreted early and respected later. They don't trigger emotional warmth instantly. They trigger awareness. They don't invite dependency. They inspire autonomy. They don't create noise. They create impact. And impact lasts longer than affection. Closing, a message to Aquarius. If you are an Aquarius, stop questioning your value. Stop wondering why love feels delayed. Stop assuming distance equals rejection. You were never meant to be easily liked. You were meant to be trusted, respected, remembered. Because Aquarius doesn't enter lives to be adored. They enter to change how people think, feel, and evolve. And that kind of presence is never loud, but it is never forgotten.